I just got fired at my job.
Look, I'm not trying to be some grumpy old man yelling at clouds here, but can we talk about the people who've essentially turned their entire existence into a 24/7 reality show nobody asked for? You know the type. They're out here posting their morning coffee like it's breaking news. Just grab my latte. Yeah, congrats. You did what 3 billion other people do before 9 a.m. You want a medal? A parade? Should we alert the press? And don't even get me started on the performative aspect of it all. These folks aren't living their lives anymore, they're auditioning for them. Every moment has to be captured, filtered, captioned, and thrown into the digital void like some kind of attention lottery. Will this be the one that goes viral? Spoiler alert, your lukewarm take on pineapple pizza probably won't change the cultural landscape. It's like watching someone play a slot machine, except instead of pulling a lever, they're doing the same recycled dance trend for the 47th time this week, desperately refreshing their notifications to see if the algorithm god smiled upon them today. The dopamine hit of 500 likes has become more important than actually experiencing the thing they're posting about. They're at a concert, but watching the whole thing through their phone screen. They're at dinner with friends, but really they're just gathering content. It's exhausting just watching it happen. And here's the thing that really gets me. They call it authenticity and sharing their truth. Brother, there is nothing authentic about staging your candid morning routine for the third take because the lighting wasn't quite right. That's not vulnerability, that's a marketing campaign for a product nobody needs, your personal brand. We've created this bizarre culture where people have confused documentation with actually living, where external validation has become the currency of self-worth. Every mundane thought needs an audience. Every mediocre meal needs documentation. It's narcissism with a ring light, packaged as relatability. The saddest part, some of these people genuinely can't tell the difference anymore between doing something because they want to and doing something because it'll play well online. The algorithm has colonized their brain. They're not asking, do I enjoy this? They're asking, is this on brand? Maybe I'm just too cynical. Maybe there's something beautiful about all this oversharing that I'm missing. But I doubt it. I think we've just normalized turning ourselves into content factories, feeding an endless machine that doesn't actually care about any of us. It just wants to keep us scrolling. And you know what's the perfect example of this whole turn everything into content disease? That woman who just got fired. And immediately, her first instinct wasn't to call a friend, wasn't to talk to family, wasn't to process what just happened privately. Nope, straight to TikTok. Camera on, let me tell the entire internet about the most humiliating, career-ending moment of my life while I'm still in the parking lot. And here's where it gets really dark. She's sitting there, tears streaming down her face, talking about how she's a single mom, no child support, just lost her job over a workplace harassment complaint, and she's filming it. She's performing her rock bottom for an audience of strangers. I just got fired for sexually harassing this guy, she announces to potentially millions of people. Like, forget for a second whether her side of the story is accurate or not. Why on earth would your first move be to broadcast this to the world? You're essentially creating a permanent digital record of the worst day of your life, complete with your own words admitting to the accusation in the first 5 seconds. This is what I'm talking about. This compulsion to turn every single moment, even the genuinely awful, life-altering ones, into content. There's no filter anymore between thing happening to me and thing I must share with the internet. The phone comes out before the tears even dry. And for what? So a bunch of strangers can either pile on with sympathy or rip her apart in the comments? So the algorithm can chew up her personal crisis and spit out engagement metrics. Maybe she gets her 15 minutes of viral sympathy. Maybe she becomes a meme. Maybe a future employer Googles her name and finds this. But here's the really twisted part. She probably felt like she had to do this, like the emotional support of the digital crowd. That validation from comments saying, OMG, you'll get through this, somehow feels more real or more immediate than actual human connection. The performance of vulnerability has replaced actual vulnerability. This is the endpoint of that share everything culture. Not just your breakfast or your thoughts, but your genuine disasters, your actual trauma, your legitimate crises, all fed into the content machine. Because if it's not on TikTok, did it ever happen? If you're not turning your pain into views, are you even processing it correctly? It's bleak, man. Really bleak.
I explained everything to the lady on the phone. I was honest about everything because there's really nothing that I did wrong. Mind you, this kid, after he makes this report to HR, is coming over to my desk, trying to say hello to me, trying to conversate with me, trying to get me to come to his department and watch him make stuff in my downtime. I tell this lady everything, but the thing is that once something is said, that's it. They basically have to get rid of you. And I was hoping that when she called me and I explained everything to her, I was praying to God, like, please, don't let me not have a job. I'm 30 years old. I take care of myself and my son. And this fucking kid just robbed me of my livelihood. I don't even think he's smart enough to know what he did or that I would get fired. Like, I think that's how dumb he is. And he just took away my income. I'm so fucking upset right now. Because if I did something wrong, I'm a grown adult. I would say, you know what? I fucked up. Yeah, I should be fired. I would have been preparing, looking for other jobs because, yeah, I fucked up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. I didn't do anything wrong. People make jokes all the time. It wasn't a sexual joke. Mind you, this kid has been like pursuing me and flirting with me, and he flirts with every girl in the store. But because I make one comment that offends him, instead of being mature and coming to me, he goes to HR and accuses me of being like a sexual predator or something. And now I don't have a job. And I have a child. Like, I'm so fucking mad. I did not fucking deserve this. I don't even know what to say. Like, there's not more to the story. It is what it is. I said something that offended him because to him, I was making it sound like because his girlfriend didn't make his lunch that she's inadequate. It was a joke, and there's more to that joke. He didn't have to do that. And that's either like, because he's so dumb. Like, he came to me to talk to me and be all friendly after he made that report. Like, I don't think he realizes that I was going to get fired. It's not like they say, hey, this person feels this way, you know, maybe you should separate yourselves. No, they get rid of you. If somebody accuses you of harassing them, they get rid of you. The company gets rid of you. And I knew that when she called me, and I was so afraid, but I was like, you know what, maybe she'll understand. Like, this is a situation. I didn't sexually harass him. I didn't harass him at all. I would never actually force an interaction with someone if I knew that they didn't want to talk to me. He never said that. It was one comment that upset him. But now, me, I'm going to be behind on my bills. And
First off, this kid is 2 years younger than her. She's 30, he's 28. She keeps calling him a kid and dumb, like there's this massive maturity gap, but they're essentially the same age. That's not an accident. She's trying to infantilize him, make him seem naive and foolish while positioning herself as the mature, reasonable adult. It's a rhetorical trick to discredit him. But here's where it gets really interesting. Buried in all this rambling, she just casually drops, "This kid has been pursuing me and flirting with me, and he flirts with every girl in the store." Wait, do I believe her version of events? Look, maybe. Workplace dynamics are complicated, and yeah, sometimes innocuous comments get blown out of proportion. The "does your girlfriend make your lunch" thing could be totally innocent workplace banter that went sideways. It happens. But here's the thing that makes me skeptical. If you genuinely did nothing wrong, if this really is just a massive misunderstanding that cost you your job and your livelihood as a single mom, why are you relitigating it on TikTok? Think about it. She's literally creating evidence. She's admitting on camera that she made comments about this guy's personal life, that there was an ongoing joking around dynamic between them, and that he clearly expressed he was offended. And her defense is, "It was just a joke, bro." Here's what I know about workplace harassment claims. Companies don't just fire people over one offhand comment about lunch. There's usually HR investigations, documentation, patterns of behavior. She says, "I won't leave him alone" was part of the complaint. That's not about one lunch comment. That suggests repeated unwanted interactions. And the way she frames it is telling. "This kid is a weirdo, always trying to be around me, always trying to talk to me." She's painting him as the aggressor while simultaneously admitting she was the one making comments about his relationship. The cognitive dissonance there is wild. But you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she really did just make one bad joke. Maybe the guy overreacted. Maybe HR had it out for her. The point is, we'll never know the full truth, and that's exactly why you don't take workplace disputes to social media court. What I do know is that her immediate instinct to film a viral moment out of her termination, to get ahead of the narrative by presenting her side to millions of strangers before the dust even settles, that's the same performative behavior we're talking about. Even if she's 100% in the right, the impulse to weaponize public sympathy through TikTok instead of, I don't know, talking to an employment lawyer tells you everything about how warped our relationship with social media has become. "I'm overly flirtatious and sexually harassing this guy" are the actual HR complaints. This wasn't just about one lunch comment. That was apparently the final straw that made him go to HR about a pattern of behavior. And here's the kicker. She's admitting all of this on camera while simultaneously claiming she knows how to set boundaries and respect them. You know who says, "I'm the type of person that knows how to set boundaries"? People who just got fired for not respecting someone else's boundaries. And that bit at the end, "instead of coming to me first," is classic missing the point territory. When someone feels sexually harassed at work, they're not obligated to have a heart-to-heart with their harasser first. That's literally what HR is for. The whole "why didn't he just tell me" argument completely ignores the power dynamic and discomfort that comes with that situation. Maybe he did signal discomfort multiple times and she didn't pick up on it. Maybe that face he made when she asked about his girlfriend wasn't him being offended. It was him trying to shut down something that had been making him uncomfortable for weeks. "I wouldn't risk my job," she says, except she did. She was told by HR a week ago that her behavior was inappropriate, and apparently that wasn't enough to make her stop and reassess. Look, I'm not saying this guy is automatically a victim or that she's automatically a villain. Workplace dynamics are messy. But what I am saying is that she's on TikTok publicly essentially admitting to multiple complaints of inappropriate behavior while framing herself as the victim of some weirdo 28-year-old who couldn't take a joke. And here's where the social media rot really shows. She's crowdsourcing validation for behavior that got her fired. She's hoping thousands of strangers will tell her, "You get nothing wrong, that kid was too sensitive, workplace culture is too PC now." And you know what? A bunch of them probably will. The comments will reinforce her narrative, tell her she's right, tell her to sue, tell her this generation is too soft. But none of that changes the fact that she lost her job, the one that gave her the most pay in a long time, because she couldn't read the room or respect someone's boundaries. And instead of doing some genuine self-reflection, she's performing her innocence for an audience that doesn't have all the facts and never will.
And that's the thing, right? This is what happens when the line between living your life and performing your life completely disappears. When every crisis becomes content, every mistake becomes a viral moment. Every rock bottom becomes an opportunity for engagement. She lost her job. That's real. That's serious. Whether she deserves sympathy or accountability, or probably some complicated mix of both, is almost beside the point now. Because instead of processing this privately, instead of talking to a lawyer or a therapist or literally anyone who could actually help her, she chose to feed it to the algorithm. And now it lives forever. A permanent digital monument to the worst day of her life and every bad decision she made while processing it. This is the cost of the validation economy. This is what happens when we've been conditioned to believe that if we're not sharing it, it's not real. That if strangers aren't validating our feelings, maybe those feelings don't matter. That performance has replaced authenticity so completely that we don't even notice we're doing it anymore. We've all become performers in a show nobody asked for, chasing those little dopamine hits, feeding the machine, hoping this post, this video, this moment will be the one that finally fills whatever void we're trying to patch over with likes and comments and shares. And the really scary part? It's only getting worse. Anyway, if you made it this far and you're thinking, damn, maybe I should reconsider what I'm putting out there, or even if you just enjoyed watching me descend into digital cynicism, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more rants about the weird, broken relationship we have with social media. And maybe, just maybe, before you post that next thing, ask yourself, am I sharing this because it matters, or am I just feeding the slot machine? All right, I'm out. See you in the next one.